I'm taking on the...
God, give me a minute. All right, what the hell is going on? Let me fix my stuff here. Morning, guy. Morning, everybody. Morning. I'm just getting set up. Lots to go over today, I'll tell you that. I'm going to wait for a couple more people to get in here. And my email's not working. If anybody has emailed me and I'm not responding, that is exactly why. I'm working on getting that fixed. It's a work in progress. After this live stream, I'll probably work on a little bit more. Let me fix my camera a little bit. All right, there we go. Yeah, sorry it got canceled out. I'm trying to get my... Let me get the chat up so I can see you guys better. One day I'll have a couple monitors where I don't have to deal with this nonsense. Let's see. Let me see if I could bring it up here so I could actually read what the hell is going on. How was everybody's weekend? There we go. Let me see if I could pop this out. Can I pop this out? Pop out chat. There we go. That's better. Beautiful. I think I got it working. I wonder if I'm live on... I try to get it working on Twitter or X, but I'm not sure if that's actually happening or not. But here we go. So I didn't watch this yet. I literally just dropped my daughter off at school. I didn't watch this yet, but I really want to watch Jack or John Gately. Where is his video? He just had a video somewhere. Oh, I think this was it. This is what I wanted to watch. One of these videos I wanted to watch. It says, Healy Connection. Renee Good was an Ice Watch activist, the Massachusetts equivalent of Loose Ice Hotline. Donations to Loose Neighbor to Neighbor run by this person. Delita Rocha is a Healy appointee to the Board of Education. I wanted to look this up really quickly. Let me see what the hell's going on here. Could you guys see my screen? Okay. So apparently this is the person that's running the... What's up? Yes, we love ice. Let me move this over a little bit. There we go. So apparently this is who's running... So this is the ICE hotline, by the way. This is the ICE hotline. They've had this up since... It's funny because at the time that they made this website, there was a correlation between Healy announcing that the hotels were closing early, and Tom Homan had mentioned that he's bringing ICE to Boston, and then all of a sudden, you know, of course, this website popped up. Of course, there's the donation area and all that stuff, and you get a good look at a lot of where probably other donations are coming from through their coalition. But apparently, I believe this is the woman that may be running it, according to Jack. It says Healy's, yeah. Donations to Loose go to Neighbor, a Healy appointee. Maybe they run it, maybe they don't. Maybe it's a group of people that are running it. But yeah, I covered this before too. How is it not illegal? It's not. It's, I mean, so this is what it boils down to. I think that if there's like coordinated attempts in order to circumvent what ICE is attempting to do, and they're starting to create some levels of obstruction, which obviously they are, then it's very problematic. But honestly, what happened here is the Trump administration, I think, got a lot of things right, but I think they also got a lot of things wrong. And one of the things, in my opinion, that they got wrong was the way they're handling everything that's going on with ICE. They really should have put themselves in a position where there was more accountability while not for the officers per se, but just in general while they're out in the field. And what I mean by accountability is like, when you have all these protesters and they're throwing rocks and they're pushing people and all this stuff, like basically what happened in California, that was like a test run basically. And in my opinion, they were too lackadaisical in order to remove these protesters or get them to a position where these protesters may or may not be arrested. I think if they started with that, and I think if they kind of set the boundaries early, we wouldn't have what we at least see happening today. And really, like, I'm kind of disappointed in the fact that there haven't been more people that they've picked up, right? Like, honestly, that's what I think. And I think the other thing too is, like, look when Obama did this, right? So here's the thing, right? Everybody knows we have an issue with this, but the way that Trump handled it, this is, of course, in my opinion, you don't have to agree with me here, but he needed to, it was very forceful to the public, right? And they kind of made a spectacle out of this. And of course, his hardcore supporters and all that are really for that. But there's also the element of what it's created on the back end, which is, a lot of chaos, and more chaos is not necessarily helping the situation. It's hurting the situation where these ICE officers are getting doxxed. Their crime against them or, violence against them has gone up exponentially. And we're just in a position where it's making it harder and harder for them to arrest people. I think what they need to do really is, like, this needs to be like how we got Maduro, okay? Like, they need whoever set up the operations for Maduro. And I was actually talking to a military veteran over the weekend. We had a little dinner party, and I asked him. He said it was outrageous how they handled that. That's how we should handle every single ICE operation. They need to get in and get out, right? They need to get the high value or the high target people and just get them the hell out. And that's it, right? Very, very inconspicuous. But the problem now is you have all these lunatics and nitwits out there that have created these networks and these channels, and they're probably on Discord, they're probably on WhatsApp. And what they're effectively doing is they are really hurting the federal administration's attempts to get rid of a lot of illegal immigrants that are here. And more importantly, like, look at it this way. The majority of people that they've been arresting, at least to my knowledge, have been violent criminals. So, like, they're protesting in support of violent criminals to get due process that never had due process when they came here. That's the issue. And I don't know how, I think that the level of, like, emotional manipulation that a lot of these people are receiving is really unfortunate. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of these people are just so enamored by, like the left wing side of politics. And I understand this could happen on the right side too. But I mean, what's right and what's wrong is wrong. You're celebrating. A lot of these people celebrated the death of Charlie Kirk, and now all of a sudden they're in a position where, they're mourning the death of that woman that just passed away. And of course, anybody that's dying is certainly not a good thing. But you got to look at it where we came from to how we got here. And a lot of it is the rhetoric that is happening. Super unfortunate what is happening out there. But like I said, I think they need to model the Maduro operation to getting people out of the United States. And I really think that they need to be on their toes with that and maybe make it less of a spectacle, right? Like remember the Pokemon commercial that they had for ICE? Yeah, they gotta clean it up a little bit, right? Let's see here, but yeah, there's a lot going on. Let me give me a second here, guys, to get set up. So first of all, I want to show you what was happening in Boston. These protests are. I mean, this is, again, the same loose immigration justice network of Massachusetts. Here's the other issue, too. And you see this happening in Minnesota. You have a lot of our... Oh, did I share my screen? I apologize if I didn't. Sorry. You have a lot of these politicians here. Like, here's Ed Markey. You have a lot of these politicians that are gassing these people up. And what they're trying to do now, in my opinion, they're trying to make the recent... the recent death what's her first name? Is it Michelle Good? I think it is. They're trying to make this into like another George Floyd moment. And I mean, you could even tell the people that were like a lot of the BLM and the people that were in support of George Floyd, the way that they're handling this, there's actually a little bit of a divide there. There's a little bit of divide. So it's really, they're like eating their own to a point. Oh, thanks for the $5, man. Good morning, Mike. Love your work. Did you know VP Vance follows? He does? Also, Pam. No, I didn't know that. Are you sure JD Vance follows me on X? I don't believe that. Are you positive? Could you send me a screenshot? Because that's really funny if he does. If anything at all, he should come to Massachusetts and get on the podcast, right? By the way, I'm sorry we haven't been doing many podcast episodes. So here's the story with that. Basically what happened is when I have like a laundry list of people that want to come on like the long format sit down podcast. My issue is time. So the studio that I go to is about 45 minutes away from where we live. And when I come home, normally there's traffic. So, I mean, just getting there, doing the podcast, and then getting home, it's like a 3 or 4 hour ordeal. So what I ultimately would like to do is get somewhere closer and do back-to-back podcasts. That way I could release either multiple episodes or have like, you know, an arsenal of episodes to release at any given point in time. But we have a huge list of people that are coming on. So, but yeah, that's what's going on with the long format. I don't believe JD Vance follows me. I really don't think that's true. So anyway, I want to show you guys some of also what was happening with this too. So I think Elon Musk actually, this is funny. I want to show you something. So in regards to the prisons, and a lot of people are worried about the daycares. Look, we're still working on the daycares, okay? A lot of people were asking me if I get to cover the daycares today. We're still working on the daycares. You guys got to understand something with the daycares. The difference between what's happening in Minnesota and what's happening in Massachusetts is that there are so many family-run daycares that a lot of what I believe to be happening in terms of, you know, potentially doing things illegally, perhaps may be happening out of the more family-run daycares. In Minnesota, it was just so overtly obvious because I think that their government was working in collaboration with a lot of the daycares there. Where here, I don't know if it's happening to that scale, but I can guarantee you that there are issues with the voucher system. So trying to uncover that, you're going through these portals and you're looking at all the, I'll kind of show you, maybe I'll show you a little bit of what I'm talking about. But looking through a lot of, here, I'll just show you what I'm talking about. So daycare, Massachusetts. When you're looking into, here we go, licensed childcare, right? So if I go to Boston, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Oops. This is what happens, and this is why our state makes it very difficult in order to pull this data. So let's do this. Let's do the radius. This will give us more data. This is what's happening in Boston. Come on, update. There we go. There we go. There it is. Yes. There's the map. So what happens here is this. A lot of these places, a lot of the like family run daycares. So if I go to, here we go, family. A lot of these are inside of a condo that's completely beat up or whatever. Look at all these family run daycares. I mean, there's a lot. So here's just an example, right? Just somebody's name. So if I click this, this is what it, do I have my screen sharing still? Yeah. Okay. So this is what it looks like on the back end. So this is where you're actually, if you're a parent, you're looking to go to one of these daycares, send your kids to these daycares. You get to see the operations, you get to see the cost, you get to see the days, but then you also get to see this area here. This area here is specific to inspections. Now, I will tell you, there is only a handful of people that I saw that are actually conducting these inspections. I have a list of like 5 or 6 people, and that's covering a pretty broad area. I'm sure there's more than that, but I think that on the inspection side, I don't know if they're getting it like an appraisal report and it goes out to everybody and then somebody picks it up and then they do the inspection and then they're getting paid a bonus on top of salary, or I don't know how it works with the inspections, okay? All I know is that there's very minimal people that are doing the inspections. Anyway, when you go through these lists, you kind of have to go down the line, every single one, look at administrative, look at interactions and all this stuff. But sometimes what you'll find is a violation. So this is like progress reports for kids. Like, you know, obviously they're sending the kids there if they're submitting progress reports. But sometimes when you click on these areas, they will have a, like, let's just use this one as another example, okay? Sometimes when you click inside of these areas and somebody has a lot of violations, what'll happen is there'll be attendance violations because they are not producing any kind of attendance records. If they're not producing any kind of attendance records, and then they're supplying an attendance records, like, I really don't understand how that cannot be manipulated in some way, manner, or form, where you're saying, yeah, we have kids coming here, they're uploading their stuff to the portal, and then the inspector comes and they don't have those records. I think it's very easy to manipulate those records. And the problem is you're going through this one by one by one. You could only download the data from a CSV of all of the daycares, but what you can't do is download their inspection data, okay? That's the issue with the daycares. So then the other key portion of this is, like, in my opinion, I think a lot of the bad actors with the daycares have probably registered daycares from, like, let's say 2020 on, because the majority of the daycares that have opened have actually, like, I think there's close to 10,000 daycares in Massachusetts, roughly, right? There's probably more than 6,000 of that 10,000 that have opened in the last 5 years, which is ridiculous to me. Okay. I feel like that's really ridiculous. So you got to remember, a lot of these daycares opened when COVID happened, and a lot of these daycares simultaneously, as they opened, applied for COVID relief funds. So this is like multi-layered of what is happening here. So in my opinion, I think basically moving forward, we're going to be looking at the most recent daycares that have opened. Not to say that some older level daycares cannot be committing the same levels of, potential fraud, but I think that the new people that have opened, I think there's a higher probability of that happening. At least in my opinion. That's the way it looks to me, because the barrier to entry went down very, very low. So that provides an opportunity for bad actors to come in, slide in, start getting COVID relief money, and then on top of that, gaming the system. Because remember, here's the weird thing. During COVID, if you were a daycare owner, like, we had kids, right? We didn't send them to daycare during COVID, but I know this because we had friends. If you're like a first responder, these daycares got these special permission, basically, as a, what do they call that? I can't remember the name. Like for the first responders, police, EMS, probably, I think a lot of their kids were able to go to certain daycares. You're telling me, like, out of the thousands of daycares that open over the last couple of years, or especially during COVID, that all of these had these special, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I think what had happened is they probably opened, they were getting paid by the government through COVID relief funds, and they didn't even have any kids to begin with. Like, so I think a lot of it happened during then. That's just my opinion, but I'll almost guarantee you that a lot of it happened back then. 100%. My internet is lightning fast? Really? I'm on like Verizon Fios or something like that. So, yeah. Just simply the amount of daycares that exist for such a small area is evident. Yeah, well, here's the crazy thing, right? Massachusetts is one of, if not the most costliest state for daycares, to send your kid to daycare. My wife didn't work for the last, she's back to work now as a hairstylist. She didn't work for the last couple of years because, well, number one, my son was born during like the year, I couldn't even see my son in the hospital, okay? He was born in Winchester Hospital. I couldn't even go to the hospital when he was born. But anyway, the amount of daycares that we have in correlation to the cost of daycare, something is not adding up, because the barrier to entry to open a daycare at least is and or was very low. So you would think if there's an opportunity there for people to A, make money, and B, service kids, you think that if the opportunity to open a daycare, if the barrier to entry is very low, we would have more daycares, which would drive the cost down. But that's not what's happening. Realistically, what is happening here with the daycare situation is this, okay? We have, and I know this because guess what? I've had daycare owners call me. So what happens is this, and not that I want to focus on the daycares, I really want to focus on the prisons, but a lot of people have been asking me about what's going on with the daycares. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, you own a daycare in, let's say Woburn, okay? And you've had that daycare for 10 years, for 15 years, whatever it may be. And then all of a sudden COVID happens and you have another daycare that opens up down the street from you. That other daycare, let's say, after they open, they start getting, they become a part of the voucher system, and they are part of, let's say, this more state-run daycares where they're subsidizing the tuition or the payments for parents to send them to school. What happens is this. The amount of money that, number one, a lot of the educators at these daycares make, if they're being subsidized by the state in some way, manner, or form, what happens is the private daycare can't pay their staff enough to keep their staff. They will go and work for a lower income daycare that has all these state subsidies and grants and programs because the educators get paid more money. On top of that, what happens is it provides an opportunity for the opening a daycare, and the state is helping basically pay for some of these kids. It makes it much easier to get clients. Okay, that's what happens, right? So you're getting clients because a lot of people can't afford daycare. It's just a cycle. It's a never-ending cycle where the cost of daycare is so high that like a low-income daycare, like sometimes it's not even freaking low-income people, right? Like it's just that the costs are so high here that they qualify. So what happens is they basically run the private daycare. They give them a run for their money. And the reason they're able to do that is because it's being subsidized by the state. Not only is the daycare, but the employees and all this other stuff, the food. So the profit margins, in my opinion, are probably substantially higher. And the reason that they're higher is because your expenses are lower. So the private place may make more money on paper before expenses, but then after expenses, they're getting screwed. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense, but that's effectively what's happening. So in turn, I think within that random cycle, I think that that's what's causing a lot of these daycares to be so expensive to send your kids there. I understand there's a lot of kids in Massachusetts. Do not get me wrong, but it's a problem that needs solving. But the reality is you have to start from the, like, if this were, you were building a house, you got to start with the foundation of these programs. And I think every single program, I think the daycares, I think the SNAP benefits, I think healthcare, I think all of those programs combined and encompassed, okay? All of those programs combined, there's issues within those programs. But beyond those programs, like, I can't even blame some of the parents or the people that are abusing this or the owners, because realistically, it's the state that provided the opportunity to these people at a low margin. And then on top of that, they're not cross-referencing or checking what they have allowed these people to do. You see what I'm saying? Like when the federal government wanted states to send their SNAP information over, like I think Massachusetts was one of the only states that did it. The reason that they don't want to do, you have to understand the grand scheme of things. When you understand the incentives of why people do these things, then you understand what is happening. If the incentive is to give everything away for free, and then on top of that, the people that are getting the things for free, that have the businesses that are getting, state subsidies, grants, and all this other stuff, how do you think these people are going to vote? The more incentives you provide to people, whether they be illegal immigrants, business owners, whatever it may be, they end up becoming beholden to these politicians. So that cycle just keeps on going around in a circle. So you think to yourself, like, this is the problem that I have when I talk about these politics and shit like that, is basically this, is like, how could this ever be resolved when you kind of have everybody dangling, or you're dangling a carrot on a stick in front of all these people? And instead of a carrot at this point, it's basically money. How are you going to reel them away from the party that is supporting this? It's almost impossible, right? It's literally almost impossible. Then you have this mechanism of the legacy media here, the news, everything you see on TV is just, it's just been washed and dumbed down as much as possible, or they don't, look, they didn't even report on the prisons. They know what's going on. There's been, and I'm going to show you, Elon Musk said something about the prisons the other day here in Massachusetts. So you know it's a big issue. They won't even cover it. So you have an incentive framework from the politicians that are running the state, okay? It's mainly Democratic. And then you have all these people on these getting these incentives, getting, the state to back them up for whatever they want to do. And remember, a lot of the people that have these vouchers, this is the crazy thing, okay? I want you to understand something. The people that are on the vouchers that are sending their kids to daycare are the same people that have the SNAP benefits, and they're not working in the first place. So they're sending their kids to daycare to sit home and not work and eat shit that they buy at Costco all day long. Like, that's really what's happening. So not only are we paying to send their kids to daycare, but we're paying for these people to sit home on their asses and do absolutely nothing. Do you see what I'm saying is going on here? It's outrageous when you think about it. It would be different. And the reasoning behind that is, well, if they need, and I understand this, like, oh, well, if they're sending their kids to daycare and they're also have the opportunity to stay home and send their kids to daycare, that provides them with an opportunity to look for a job and get a job. I bet if I had the data to look at the correlation between people sending their kids to frickin' daycares to the amount of people that are unemployed, I think that that data would be outrageous. To look at that data would be nuts. Like, really. And that's just in Massachusetts, which is effectively just turned into a welfare state. What these politicians, got to understand something. What these politicians are trying to do is this, right? They are dividing the poverty from high class, but who's paying for it is everybody in the middle. Massachusetts is turning into a very rich, very wealthy, or not so much. But everybody in the middle is paying for everybody that's down here. That's what's happening. And then the people that are down here are voting for the people up here. But we're paying for all this shit in the middle. That's what's happening. And the middle class is in a position where we're the ones that are getting squeezed and we're the ones with the loudest voice. So you think to yourself, if everybody knows what the hell is going on, then how the hell is it humanly possible that we are or have been taken advantage of for so damn long and people are okay with this? The reason is the brainwashing. I mean, it's literally happening. These people, you have to understand something. When you provide incentives, whether it be you're a protester, you're basically getting paid to protest, okay? A lot of these people, my friend Nate Friedman goes around to these protests. I don't know if I want to do this too, but I don't know if I'd make it out alive, okay? A lot of these people have bodyguards and all this stuff. But anyway, he's uncovering the same protesters at all these same protests. Like, they're going back and forth. So of course they're getting paid, or they're just losers, right? Like, they have nothing better to do. It's outrageous. But anyway, when you provide those incentives to either the protesters, your constituents, all of these things, and I bet if you were to look at the ratio of people that are on these welfare programs or are low income and or high income people, I bet that there's a massive majority in the high income earners and the extremely low income earners in Massachusetts, because the middle is where everybody is moving out. And actually, I'm going to show you something. Let me show you something. Hold on. U-Haul, Massachusetts. So U-Haul just posted their migration patterns, I think. Let's see here. I mean, here you go. So this is the states that, let me make this bigger. I need a second monitor so bad, guys. I'm really like, yo, you want to hear something funny? So I wish I could turn my camera and show you. Anyway, off to my right here is my computer. Sometimes being conservative, guys, has its downfalls, okay? And my wife will tell you, I wear boxers, right? I will wear my boxers until, like, where the elastic is, and like there's rips in the elastic, right? And I usually continue to wear them even though there's rips in the elastic. It's not that I can't afford a new pair of boxers. It's just that sometimes you could become a little over conservative. right? Where you have holes in your socks and holes in your boxers. That very well happens. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, I have, believe it or not, I remember a long time ago when I was an electrician, I was doing a job, and this guy that I was working for, I actually ended up selling some of the real estate for this guy. He ended up, I'm like, this guy, like, he was driving an old Buick. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And all of a sudden he started buying all these properties. And I'm like, where the hell did this guy get all this money from? Like, this is ridiculous. So anyway, we became friends with this guy, and he was telling us a story. Apparently his aunt was like this super conservative woman. She ended up saving millions of dollars. She used to walk around with duct tape on her shoes. She had now I'm not that I'm not that bad. I don't have duct tape on my shoes, but I will like I very rarely buy new stuff. That's why you always see me wearing the same sweaters, the same shirts. Like, they're clean. It's just I hate spending money. I really, really hate spending money. But anyway, so sorry, I went off on a tangent there. Oh, but I was saying my computer, I just went to IKEA over the weekend with my kids, which was an absolute, if you have kids, don't go to IKEA. My computer was sitting on a tote for like the last 5 years because I moved some stuff and I used to have it on my desk here. It was literally sitting on a tote. I didn't even buy a proper stand for it or anything like that. I don't know why, but anyway. So hold on one second here. Yeah, Mass used to be nice. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Massachusetts. It's just the politics are awful. And here's the thing. You got to understand something here. When you have a correlation between politics and people don't even need to be in politics or not even in politics. People don't even need to be concerned with politics, but you know they're political. You know they're political by behavior patterns, right? And a lot of people here in Massachusetts are miserable, okay? A lot of you guys are like, I try to stay as positive as humanly possible. A lot of people are just so beat up and miserable, it's outrageous. It is insane, like how miserable people are. A great example is driving. We drive like lunatics, right? Like, the traffic will be backed up, you're trying to merge over. Somebody would rather hit you than let you merge. It's really sad, but I think people are just constantly on edge here, and we need some. Yeah, we need some help. My friend just sold his $800,000 house in Mass and moved to an equal house in for $450, the same taxes. Yeah, you could get a really nice place outside. That's why I look at it this way. These are the #1 places to move to. We have Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, Austin, Texas, North Carolina, Arizona, Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia. We have all these places, right? So then we start getting into the middle, right? These are some of the growth cities here. Let's see. Are we even in here? No, we're so bad that they don't even have us in this area. All right, let's see if we could find... We basically got to go to the biggest losers, okay? That's what we got to find here. Let's see. And it's funny. I'll tell you something else, too. Let's see if I could get the full list. Here we go. Here we go. Consider the states that rank at the bottom of U-Haul's index. So California is the worst. This makes total sense. Look at the top 5. California, Illinois, New Jersey, New York, and Massachusetts. So I think last year, like, sometimes the jokes just write themselves, right? Like, that's basically what it is. So I think last year we were at 48. So we've improved a little bit here. We're at 46. But anyway, you know, it's just a fact. When you have people moving out, you got to realize it's not the upper class. It's not the lower or poverty community. It's the middle class. That's who's leaving. It's people my age. You know, it's people my age. That's realistically what it is. So when you have people move out of your state, here's what happens. You're losing talent, right? It's funny. Think of it this way. Look at this. This is probably going to be the worst analogy in the world, but look at it this way. The Democrats wanted all these people to come into the country, right? But in one hand, but in the other hand, Democrats can't keep people within their own states. The only people that are staying within their own states are the people that came across the country from somewhere else. They can't retain people that want to live in their own states. On top of that, they're not creating mechanisms to keep people inside of their own states. Do you see what I'm saying here? Like, that's the issue. And now we have these protesters that are trying to keep people that came here, right? Like, that's what's going on. And the Democrats are in support of this, but the Democrats are not out fighting for the middle class that are leaving their states in the first place. Does that make sense? Am I crazy to think that? That's the reality of what's happening. That is the ultimate reality of what's happening. And again, it's based on incentives. And the incentives, those incentives work both ways. It works for the people that came here that shouldn't be, and it works for the politicians that are in office that shouldn't be in office in the first place. We got to get these people out of here. My only issue with Trump, I have a lot of issues, but one of my only issues with Trump is that they're not going far enough. I think Tim Walz needs to be in handcuffs, okay? That guy is could you imagine if this guy was our vice president? It's unbelievable what's happening. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. So anyway, let's get into, I was going to show you what was going on with Elon. Let's see if I can find his post. Where are we at? Where are we at? Do I have my screen shared? Yes, I do. Oops, no kings. This is the other funny thing too. Did you guys see this? The No Kings financial records have been released, and here are the top financiers. Arabella, Warren Buffett, 16 million, Ford, 51 million, Rockefeller, of course, Soros, and Tides. I think Tides and Soros are both one and the same. But like, you wonder, I mean, look at it when we got Maduro. Did you guys see the signs? Like everybody, it's actually, it's so frustrating because here's one of the big problems. I will say the left in terms of organization and their level of propaganda and rhetoric is off the charts, okay? It's completely off of the charts, the levels that they're at. They have professional signs printed like the same exact time. They're shipping them out to all these places. All the people that they have on speed dial on their bat phone that don't work, they're just very well organized, right? And I just think that people on the right or even like independent people, I think a lot of these people are working or I don't know what it is. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. But nobody does, like, people will do what they're doing off of passion, but a lot of people are not doing this because they're passionate, right? A lot of them are doing it because they're getting paid. And that's basically what it boils down to. All right, let's see if I can find Elon's post here. This is in regards to the prisons, by the way. It was just recently. I'll see if I can find it. I wish it was like Forrest Rahm is the investigative journalist that worked on this. Let's see. I can't find his damn post. I don't know. It's here somewhere. Elon Musk prison. Let's see if we can find it. No, I can't find it. Anyway, that's okay. So here's what's happening, right? At least with the prisons. So I posted this the other day. This got, quite a bit of traction. It's so funny. Like, here's the way, this is the way these things work, by the way. So, and it's unfortunate. It's fortunate and unfortunate at the same time. So, for instance, right? Forrest wrote the article on The Hill. The Hill, let me see if I can find it. Let's see here. And it's getting some traction. But then what happens is, like, it won't get any more traction unless news stations pick it up. And, like, you have to go through, like, it could be the best story or the most important thing in the world. And the fact is like, you get to a point where all of these news stations, like locally, you figured that the local stations would share this. Like, legacy media would share this. And then they don't share anything. And then you have to go to X, you have to go to Twitter, and then all of a sudden you have Elon Musk that the thing has like 40 million views or something like that. Like, it effectively forces these people in order to cover these things. And it's really sad that it has to get to that point to kind of stick up for people. Do you see what I'm saying? It's really sad. But anyway, let's see what I could show you guys. I have a whole bunch of stuff, to be honest with you, including letters, statements. So this was the original one. Let me see if I can pull this up for you. This is one you guys didn't see yet. So I'm going to read this to you. Now, this is directly from the women in the prison, okay? This is from the women and again, this is at MCI Framingham. Now, I'm not going to read every single letter. There's so much stuff, but I want to just pull you into the realm of what's happening. This is what it says. When I use the showers and I check to see if any male inmates are there because I don't feel comfortable or safe, every time the door opens, you don't know who's coming in, male or female. Male inmates transferred from male prisons receive single cells and upon arrival, while some women who have been incarcerated for many years don't receive single cells. So what's happening is this. Men are being arrested. They're going to a men's prison. Then, after a period of time or a period of money, taxpayer money, they eventually say, you know what? They say the magic words, I'm trans, whatever it is, right? Or I identify as whatever. So then they end up getting transferred. I'm sure it takes a little bit of processing. They end up getting transferred to the female prison, okay? They're getting treated better than the female inmates at the female prison. You see what I'm saying? So when the male people get there, or the trans, whatever it is, get there, they're getting their own private cells. I would think that in prison, having a private cell is a massive, you have to think in again, put yourself in these people's shoes. I would think that having a private cell is a massive luxury in prison. I would think so, okay? I would think that it is. So you have all these people, all these women that have been in this prison for years, and they see this newcomer come in with this wig on, and they're getting their own private cell. How do you think that's going to make them feel, right? Like, number one, of course they're going to be upset and maybe jealous about this, but this is what radicalizes people. Do you see what I'm saying? Unfair treatment will radicalize somebody from a 1 to a 10 almost instantaneously. So, again, they're getting their own cells. On top of that, here's what it says. I believe women's rights are being violated, and I don't understand how the current housing and shower arrangements are legal. I feel that male inmates identifying as transgender receive more institutional support and protection than the women incarcerated at MCI Framingham. They have attorneys on speed dial. I feel the situation is getting worse over time, and that many women and officers walk on eggshells, afraid to say anything that could result in complaints, legal threats, or administration backlash. So the other thing that is happening at this prison is that the transgender men, women, again, whatever it is. I'm not a connoisseur of this, okay? I don't know, like, the right lingo. So they will have special treatment for the showers as well. So basically what happens is the women have to shower with other women. The men could shower with other women, but the men also have a reserved time that they get to go in and do what they want by themselves. You see what I'm saying? It's insane. It's insane. Let me see what else I can find for you, because there's quite a bit. What's this one? I just have to, make sure that what I share is not a problem. You just give me a second here. Okay, here's another good one. Again, we have a lot of these. Again, I didn't recover these guys. This was all done by Forrest Rom. That is the journalist that wrote this original story. Okay, she's the one that went there. She's the one that got all this stuff, and that's it. But I will tell you, so I had a phone call, a number of, I've talked to some similar people. I guess I'll leave it at that. So this is what this one says. It says, freedom for all to live as they choose with equal opportunities. But after experiencing what I have here, I am gravely concerned for my future as a woman. We have fought too hard for too long seeking equal opportunities as our male counterparts, and now I see other genders claiming what we as women have achieved. I don't know what the answer is for the incarcerated transgender community, and I truly empathize with their plight. But we women should not be deprioritized for their gain. That is 100% accurate. And that's actually what's happening throughout Massachusetts as a whole. In a prison built over 100 years ago explicitly for women. The doc needs to develop a better plan to accommodate transgenders' needs. From what I have witnessed, the doc is scared to push back. Okay. Way I will sue card comes out. You know, it's like the same thing over and over again. Republicans and Democrats need to work together to find a middle ground that reasonably accommodates all involved without taking from another. That's the problem. That is a majority of the problem, is like, you know, you're again, it's a robbing from Peter to pay Paul situation. And a lot of what happens here is these women are the ones that are being disenfranchised by people that got there yesterday. I mean, that's realistically what's going on. And it's really sad to say. And remember, on top of that, like, it would be one thing if somebody fully transitioned, you know, did the surgery, did all this stuff and whatever, right? But it's another thing when there's only 2 out of, I believe, 10 or 11 men that are there that have actually had the surgery, right? Just in terms of, you know, dangerous, right? It could potentially be dangerous, is what I'm trying to say. The other crazy thing, too, like, this isn't only on a surface level, not a surface level, but this is not only a problem for the women, the legitimate women that are at the prison. It's also a problem with the spending, because you got to remember, all of the surgeries that are happening, all of the hair laser transplant stuff, whatever the hell it is. Again, I'm no expert at this field, but we're paying for all of these things. Okay, we're paying for all of these surgeries and all of these hormones and all these other things for these people at the prisons. That's what's happening. That's what's happening here. This is an example. Let me see if I could find the. Let me see if I could find this. Give me 1 second. Here's a good one. I could share this one. This is from Corlinks. So I didn't actually even know what this was. Let me see. Could you guys see this? Hold on. I really got to get another monitor. So Corlinks is like the Gmail of prisons, where inmates could email back and forth with people outside, to an extent outside of the prison. So it says, so frustrated, and of course some stuff is redacted here, guys. So frustrated and getting even more infuriated by the transgenders' constant complaints and demands for a better this or that when we can't get basic care and the mandatory tests necessary for a diagnosis so that treatment can commence. Is tired out of trips for electrolysis for his facial hair, and another will be starting voice lessons soon to sound more feminine. So we're all... Oh my God. So we're also paying for they have vocal coaches. We're paying for the vocal coaches inside the prison too, apparently. Okay. I'm baffled and losing patience, but somehow have remained kind. I have also heard that their surgeries to alter their gender, do not know the official terminology, has been denied. By doc, I would imagine. I would think the cost of each surgery is astronomical. Anyway, they hate getting pushback, even though medical and psych here says that they are fighting for them. Basically, they're getting special treatment. That's what it boils down to. That's it. That's really what it boils down to with a lot of these people. And again, it's unfortunate. Let me see here. As far as voice lessons, it is... Okay, who will be getting treatment? So now we're paying for the... So we're paying for the electrolysis. We're paying for the hormones. We're paying for the vocal coaching. And we're paying for the heels, I guess. I don't know. Let's see what else we can find. An independent reporter. Give me a second. Catholic. I went to private school, Catholic school for like 11 years, guys. Let's see. Sorry, I'm going through docs here, so you gotta bear with me. Actually, let me see if I could just share this. I'm gonna see if I could do this with you guys. Hold on. Window capture, properties. Yes. Let me make this smaller. So this is what a lot of the, could you guys see this? I think you can. Let me move it over. Like this is what a lot of this is one of them, right? This is one of them. Is this pulling up? No. Eastern woman sentenced to 14 to 16 years in prison for causing fatal 2019 New Bedford crash. Like, there's a whole bunch. Whoops. This is what we're dealing with. This is it. Who else? Here's another one. This guy almost tried to, I believe, let me see here. It says, police would-be rapist bound injected girl. A 6-year-old girl fled a Massachusetts apartment after her friend's father lured her and then bound her, injected her with an unknown substance, and tried to rape her. This guy or girl, whatever, is in another prison. It's just crazy. All right, let me go back to this. Is it this one? Yes. Okay. All right, let me show you what else I got here. I'm going to bring up some other docs. But it's crazy what's happening. And I understand, like, look, I understand, like, you know, a lot of the women that are there, they could have done awful and terrible things too. Let's be fair, right? But, you know, maybe they wouldn't have if they knew what was going to happen when they're in the damn prison, is what I'm thinking about. It's crazy. It really is. Let me catch up on some of your comments here. You know what? Somebody said windmills and solar panels. I will say this. I had this weird dream last night. I really did. I had this dream of, like, you know when you're a kid and you used to get the magnifying glass and you used to, like, get a piece of paper, you could burn the paper? I think if they want to do something, I don't understand why they just can't, instead of putting, like, all of these solar panels all over the creation and creating, like, like I said, you know, you're going to look from Google Maps one day and the Earth is just going to look like a giant iPhone screen, right? So I don't see why they can't, like, focus it into something like the basically from the sun. And instead of, you know, having a whole spread out area of all of these solar panels, why can't we, like, condense it down where we're, like, you know, we're focusing the sun into, like, this mega battery or something, right? That's in the center of the Earth or some shit. Like, just plug an extension cord into the sun. I don't know. Somebody's got to come up with something. But anyway, that was the dream. It was like, you know, focusing the sun. It was weird. Actually, I have a funny story for you guys. So here's what happened to me. I want to continue my story really quickly about something. I meant to say this at the dinner party that we were at, but I totally forgot. So when I went to IKEA, I brought my kids to IKEA, okay? Which was a disaster to begin with, all right? I don't know if you've ever been to IKEA in Stoughton, but it's like a layer of hell, basically, when you get there. The parking lot's always full. There's people all over the place. One of the biggest issues is that when you get there, not only do you not know what you're doing, but everybody else does not know what they're doing either, okay? They have no freaking clue. They have no idea. So we get there. We're walking around, right? And I finally find the area to get this. I finally get to the area where I want to buy this little table for my computer, and, you know, do what we're doing, all this other stuff. All of a sudden, my kids had to go to the bathroom. This is the issue with. Again, I don't care what people want to do. Like, I really don't. But just, like, keep it out of the schools. But here's a part of the issue. Okay. My son and I are sitting on the bench outside of the restrooms. Okay, at IKEA. And this person, let's say, comes up, hat on, a little bit longer hair, earrings, glasses, and I see them. I mean, they look. It was a guy. Okay, let's just be honest. They go up to the women's door, and they pull the women's door, and women are coming out, and they get visibly. I saw their face. They were visibly frustrated that women biological women were coming out of the woman's room. Okay. So then they walked back. Now, again, my daughter is in there. All right. My daughter at that given point in time is in the restroom. My son and I are on the bench. So again, I'm watching like a hawk. Okay. See them open the door. They shut the door. Then they walk away a little bit. So then they're waiting. And I'm sitting there. So my daughter comes out. I said, I have to go to the bathroom too, right? Could you? So anyway, so then they go into the men's room. All right. So again, they open the door in the women's room. To reiterate, they open the door in the women's room. They see women coming out of the women's room. They get visibly frustrated that women are using the women's facility. They shut the door. They walk away. They're panting and walking around, probably having to go to the bathroom. Then they open the men's door, and then they go in the men's bathroom. That's exactly what happened. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, I thank God my daughter didn't say anything. Like, that's the hard part. Like, I really don't care what people do. But imagine the women. Like, this did not look like, this didn't look like a girl. All right, let's just like get cut to the chase. This didn't look like a girl at all. Like, not even freaking close. But anyway, like it's not about. Like I said, I don't necessarily care what people do, but like when there's like it's the optics with kids. And the best way I could describe this is like, even as an adult, like if you're going like imagine you go to Revere Beach, right? And people are drinking at Revere Beach, and all of a sudden you see this guy, this bum that's walking down the street, and he decides to come onto the beach, and he has absolutely no clothes on at all, right? And then it's like one of those things where you look and you are like, what the hell is going on? And then you look again and you're like, holy shit, right? It's like looking into the sun, basically. That's kind of how it is with kids, right? That's how I feel. So when they see these things, that's the issue. Yeah, I know it could have gone sideways. This guy, listen, this person, let's just say I can't say what I want to say on YouTube, okay? But everything was completely fine. Everything was completely fine. But it's just the, holy shit. $100 donation? Bro, you don't got to do that. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. I hate feeling trapped in the shithole state. By the way, love what you do, Mike. Thank you for the donation, man. Yeah, it sucks. You know what, though? I will say this much, okay? Let me just go off on a little bit of a tangent here. You guys don't need to donate, by the way, but I do. I really appreciate that. Listen, I just had this conversation the other day. I don't know if you realize this, but there is a lot of energy in Massachusetts right now. And I don't want people to get bummed out if we don't get a Republican governor in office, okay? Like, you can't be bummed out if it doesn't happen, right? There's been some changes going on, and we've had a lot of wins in Massachusetts over the last year, okay? A lot of wins, especially in regards to energy, especially in regards to what happened with the highway service plazas. Like, look at it this way. Wu wants to have rent control. Healy is not backing rent control. Healy, now, do I think this is a psyop for something else? If I put my conspiracy theory hat on, I do. But she has shifted, and Healy is really walking on eggshells. I don't know if you guys realize this, but what's happening is, forget what's happening with the politics and the administration and the legislature and all this other shit. I don't know if you guys feel this, but there's like this coalition or group of people that like are kind of coming together, and it's happening at scale. And really what's happening is, I feel like the mindset of a lot of people here is changing. And there's a couple layers to this. And I hate to go off on a tangent, but I am. So the layers to this are like this. I think that people have become so frustrated with what is happening, and they've become so disenfranchised with what is happening, that now they're at their breaking point. I think that people have been at their breaking point, maybe you guys especially, for a very long time. And then what happens is, a lot of these people are in a position where they're getting louder, right? Like I always say, I can't do this alone. I wish there was more people that would do stuff like this. Thank God there's like a handful of us, right? But you guys are getting more vocal. And like whether it be at family parties during the holidays or whatever it is. And the reason I know this is going on is because a lot of you guys call me and I talk. I mean, I try to do my best. I'm not a saint when it comes to this and getting back to people, but because it's hard, right? But there's a movement that's going on and it's happening within the state. So like, yes, we're in a position where we're the underdog, right? But I'm telling you, over periods of time, things are going to change. I could guarantee you this because people are frustrated. They're mad. They're in a position where they feel disenfranchised. They're sick of the cost of energy. They can't open a business. Then meanwhile, we have people that came here yesterday that are getting $4,000 a week to take care of their family. Of course, people are going to be pissed off. You see what I'm saying? So like the short-term gains, and I think I may have said this before, the short-term gains that the legislature have received because of what they're doing are starting to peter off. And this is why they are so protective of the people that they got here in the first place. You want to know why? I don't know if anybody's ever said this before, but they're protecting their investment. That's what they're doing. They are literally protecting their investment. That's all that it is. Imagine they invested all this money into the stock market, right, to watch it grow, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in and sweeps the rug out from under them, and the stocks crash. They've invested their time, their morals, and their money, your money basically, into a lot of these people and into a lot of these programs. So they're going to fight like absolute hell to keep these people here because they want to protect their investment. That's what's happening. And I hate to make people out to be like, belittle them to that extent. I'm really not trying to do that. But you have to think, look, if you could think in the same or put yourself in the shoes of the way these people think, that's what's happening. And you will come to the same exact conclusion. Everybody wants to protect their investment. As so much that they're paying for protesters to protect their investments even further. So the protesters are getting paid to basically incite riots and propaganda to protect their investment even further. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's what's happening. It's like talking to a financial advisor after you've already invested all this money to dig you out of the hole that you put yourself in the first place. And that's what's going on. So they're dumping more money into the problem. That is exactly what is happening. That's all that it is. Once you understand that they are an investment, that all of these people on these welfare programs are an investment, then you understand the bigger picture. That's what's going on. The same thing that's happening in these freaking prisons. It's the same exact thing. It's the same exact problem. Like all of these problems, guys, you have to understand, all of these problems are 100% related. They're all related. They're all coming from the same legislature, and they all boil down to the same ideologies. That's all that it is. I heard a rumor that eventually, now I don't know if this is true or if any COs are in here, but I heard a rumor, and now please don't hold this against me if this doesn't come true. This is complete rumor, but I heard that what's going to happen is the Democrats are going to put a bill forward that allows people that are incarcerated to vote. That's what I heard. So now we're going to have people like Ayanna Pressley and Liz Miranda and Ed Markey and all of these other lunatics going inside of the prisons that are and they're going to solicit inmates for votes, for Democratic votes. That's the truth. Well, it's potentially the truth, but I wouldn't say it if I didn't think it was true. Let me put it to you that way. I think you guys know me by now, right? It's insane. It's really, really, really insane. Let me see what else I can find for you here because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 folders. I just don't want to bore you with a whole bunch of stuff. Here we go. Here's a good one. Here's a really good one. Remember, okay, this is not Maura Healey's entire fault. This started with the Baker administration. You have to understand, this started with the Baker administration in regards to these prisons. And it says, Hi Force, the Baker administration didn't think this through. They were supposed to be non-violent people. I believe the majority are here for killing women. It's funny, but it's not funny. Opening these doors has violated women's rights and safety. The trans have more rights than we do. We are forced to live with them. They can't have their own unit because it's considered segregation. I'm sorry, but women should be able to shower and not worry about a man being naked next to them. They have a scheduled shower time when women can't go in the showers. Exactly. That's the problem. However, they could still go any other time as well. So when we are in the showers, they could go in. They get their 15 minutes of privacy. We get the rest of the time, but they are allowed to go. Trans also get to choose who strip searches them. Officers have to strip both sexes if they identify as the same sex. Even state transportation officers have to strip either sex. The officers have no choice. They can't even use the religion as a reason. I knew an officer who was a Muslim and cannot see a naked woman other than his wife, but that wasn't an acceptable excuse. He ended up quitting. Male officers should not be forced to see females, nor should female officers be forced to see a man naked. The union can't even help them, thanks to Baker. I've seen the people I believe are abusing the system. If they have no intention of getting the surgery, they shouldn't be here. They won't send a woman who transitioned into a man to a men's joint for her safety. But what about our safety? Not only the incarcerated, but the staff too. Because remember, they're also abusing the staff. That is what's happening. So not only are they there potentially abusing the inmates, but they're also there abusing the staff. That is what's happening. And remember, listen, I want to make something extremely clear on this channel, okay? I don't care if they're a Democrat. I don't care if they're Republican. I don't care if they're an independent. If something is going on that is shady as shit, we're going to call it out here. There's going to be absolutely no bias, all right? So if something is happening on a major level, like what happened here with Baker, we're going to call this stuff out, okay? 110%, because we need to hold everybody accountable. As a matter of fact, I've told, and maybe some of them are watching right now, I told every single person that's running for governor as a Republican ticket in Massachusetts, you're not safe either. You're not safe, okay? I'm not trying to be violent. I'm not trying to be mean, right? But you gotta, here's the thing. If something happens, and I'm not the be-all end-all, okay? I'm not the law here, right? But if I see something that I'm questioning, I'm going to call it out. And then I'll let the people decide whether or not it was a good idea or a bad idea. That's basically what it boils down to, you know? And the fact is this, like, a lot of times, and maybe this is just a stupid comment or whatever, but I'm just sitting here talking to you guys, like, you know, what more of an opportunity does Healy and the administration have than to look at the comments of something that they've done, like, for instance, whether it be the cost of energy or the rest of, like, if they could visibly see that their constituents are upset, or the people that are voting for them or that live in the state are upset, that provides them with an opportunity on the back end to shift course. And of course, that is actually what has been happening with Healy. She has been shifting course a lot on energy. Yes, it's still astronomical. And yes, maybe it's performative, but anything at all is better than nothing, okay? Because again, as I always say, we're chipping away at issues. We're chipping away. But remember, if Healy gets out and a Republican governor gets in, if bad decisions are being made, we need to keep them on their toes too. Okay? We need to keep them on their toes too. That's all I got to say about that. All right, let me catch up on some comments. Not okay with corruption or BS from either side. PS. Yeah, Baker. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, this was a bad deal from Baker. But I will say, you know what? I will say this much, and you guys don't have to agree with everything I say. But during COVID, again, it was like it was the time for propaganda, right? But I don't know what was going on in other states, so I can only give my judgment. But like, Baker was always on there, right? Like, Baker was always on the news, giving reports, giving updates and stuff like that. And again, maybe it was propaganda, maybe it wasn't. Not to say about the COVID shot. I'm just saying, like, getting on the news, right, and talking. Like, he was in a position that at least he was showing up, is what I'm trying to say. Like, at least he was showing up, and not just like in a bunker somewhere. But it was bad, right? The whole situation sucked. $7,000 electrical bill? What is it? We have a commercial business? That's insane. By the way, did I mention my email? Oh yeah, I think I did. My email will be back up within the next once I get off here. Let's find another letter. 7,000 is outrageous. Is that true? Over a year? Oh, $7,000 over a year. So your total bill, is that what you're saying? Your total bill was 7,000, like accumulated over 1 year? Megyn Kelly, honestly, I barely watch those people, guys. Medical waiver. Subarus. Listen, my best friend, one of my best friends drives a Subaru. I'm not going to mention his name. Yes, he drives a Subaru. My first car was a Volkswagen, and I really liked it. Bro, that's crazy. You have a medical waiver. Had to choose food or electric. You know how many calls I've received about that stuff, man? Where people are literally sitting there wondering whether or not they're going to pay for a meal. Or freaking their electric bill. It's crazy. So let's see what else. Let me see if I can find anything else about Baker in here. Here we go. Here's a good one. Here's a good one. It says, let me start by saying another trans arrived. He was awaiting trial for about 3 years, and the judge sentenced him to 12 years for manslaughter. He and his co-defendant boyfriend killed a man, and this individual beat the victim's service dog with a baseball bat. The judge sentenced him to Framingham. This is disturbing to me because he did not only did he assist in killing a person, but he beat a service dog. We now have 3 men who have been sentenced by the courts to come here. This means they cannot be sent to a man's prison, and no other state would want to swap a female for a male. This most recent one will be here for 9 years guaranteed. I believe the majority are here for violent crimes because of the conversations I've heard. Remember, a lot of these, could you imagine being a woman living, look, picture this, okay? You're a woman, you've been in this jail for 3 years, everything's going fine, and all of a sudden you see some dude walking, you know, down the aisles with high heels on and a jean skirt, and they're getting put into one of the cells next to you or wherever it is. You got to be sitting there thinking, imagine you're somebody that's been in there a long time. You don't know what the hell's going on in the outside world. And all of a sudden you see this going on. I mean, remember, a lot of these people do not know. They probably find out through the grapevine of how another inmate ended up in prison in the first place. That's why they're saying here, I believe the majority are here for violent crimes because of the conversations I've heard. When someone arrives, it's common for people to talk about their charge. You would have to get the names and Google each one. There's a girl that you've been writing that would know the full names better than me, so I would ask, okay. Let's see. When this who BS started, the officers went to their union to fight it. They were concerned about their safety, our safety, and having to be exposed to the opposite sex. The union did not attempt to argue this new policy and got nowhere. Officers were telling us we were going to have to fight it, that the union was unsuccessful in stopping men from coming here. The reason many of us think having them come here after genital surgery is because it would weed out the fakers. If they're serious about transitioning, they will have the surgery. If they refuse the surgery, they don't really want to be a female. Therefore, they are and will continue to be a man. See, that's the thing. I think it would be a lot more palpable for a lot of these people to essentially allow this to happen if they were fully transitioned, right? But I think that what's happening is, since a lot of them are not getting the surgery, it leads this person to, I mean, I think any common person would think that maybe they're not 100% committed. And the thing is, it provides an opportunity for these people to kind of game the system and cheat the system. Like that's all that it is. Thank you for your channel. Thank you so much for the $2. I appreciate that. Thank you. But they're taking you to court for that bill. That's crazy. That's crazy. Let's see what else we can find here. I'll see if I can find another good one. Because there's a lot. There's quite a bit. What's this? Do you know it's been... It's going to be like a couple months. It'll be like the year anniversary since I asked for I did a FOIA request to try to get the, what's going on with White Stadium. We still don't know what the hell's going on with White Stadium. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I'm surprised somebody didn't tag me in this. What's this? Actually, Elon ended up, this is actually a big one, guys. Those people, those Haitians that were defrauding Massachusetts at $500,000 a month. That's like, look at it this way. We don't want to send people or get our SNAP benefits audited. But meanwhile, like, here's proof of concept that there is fraud happening within the SNAP system. So, and they still won't allow the federal government to come here and talk about the SNAP benefits. It's crazy. Is anybody going to this, by the way? Is anybody going to this? Hang on one second, guys. I'll be right back. I have to use the bathroom real quick. Hang on 1 minute. All right, sorry about that. Are you guys going to this? Let me check the comments. You hope I'm standing up? It's not the weekend. All right, let's see. Trump isn't perfect, but imagine Harris Walz. That would be, I mean, it would be insane. It would be insane. Can't you get your ducks in order before you start broadcasting? I'm sitting here drinking a Red Bull, and I got to go to the bathroom. What do you want me to do? I mean, Jesus. Am I standing up? I said, if during the week, yes. The weekend, it depends. All right. So nobody's going to this? Is that what's going on? I might go tonight. Light appetizers. Diapers, yeah. No, it's the Red Bull, dude. In the morning, this stuff just goes right through me. And I've been trying to not... I'm trying to not drink them, but you know. Mike, put this on the community post? Okay, I will. I'll work on that. I'll work on that. All right, give me a second. I'm going to do something here. 1 second. So... where the hell is it? I wanted to show you guys something else. Oh, this is what I wanted to show you. So Trump, I want to talk about this for a couple minutes. Where are we at here? I think this is it. So there's been a lot going on with a lot going on with housing, okay? And one of the things that Trump, I think, is trying to do is that he's trying to eliminate single-family homes from being bought up by like these private investment groups, and that's the way it goes. Now, I think that for a portion of that, you could say, well, you know, it's a free market. Anybody should be able to buy, you know, whatever they want. And I agree with that, right? Like that's part of being, you know, capitalism and all this stuff. But I think it's come to a tipping point. And I don't know, like, I'm in the business, right? I've been doing this a very long time, built houses for 10 years, selling real estate for 11 or 12 years now. Like, you know, there's a portion of me that wants to still maintain that, you know, free market, people could buy whatever they want. But then there's this, but like now what's happening is that we're building less homes. Like there's a couple things going on, okay? The United States, at least certain areas, especially Massachusetts, building less homes. But meanwhile, not only are this is compounding, by the way, we're building less homes, number one. Number two, we allow these institutional investors to come in and scoop up properties, and basically people that could actually want to live here and start a family here, what's happening is they're getting priced out, okay? They're getting outbid by a lot of these organizations and a lot of these companies. So I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, yeah, BlackRock. And the hard thing is with BlackRock is that you can't just look up like BlackRock LLC in Massachusetts and see how many homes they bought, right? Like it's almost impossible. But anyway, so pretty much what's happening, I think Trump wants to give like a right of first refusal to people that are buying single family homes, right? So that way, if there's 5 bids on the house and the highest bid was BlackRock, their bid is not going to be considered until the other, let's say, people that are buying it as a primary residence have their shot. Now, do I agree with this or do I disagree with this? I think that this is I think this could potentially be a short-term fix for a longer-term problem. I think it could potentially be a good idea in the short term. Would I like to see this, you know, for the longevity? I think that there should be some perhaps, and I'm not a big rules and regulations guy, but something needs to happen here where if a threshold is met where the amount of houses that you built exceeds X, Y, or Z, then maybe perhaps the following year would allow for these institutional investors to buy X, Y, and Z. Basically because there's enough homes for everybody, the appreciation didn't exceed a certain amount, whatever the metrics are, right? I'm just spitballing here. But anyway, I think that we should allow for more people to buy single family homes because really what's happening here is you got to look at it from this perspective, right? If you're an investor and you're taking a sip, like this is the perfect way to explain this. If you're an investor, when you buy a single family home, and let's say you don't go and resell that single family home, you're buying it as a rental property. Not only are you eliminating a product from the market, right? But you're also creating this paradigm of people that were single family home buyers that didn't have the opportunity to buy that specific house. So there's still the same amount of people looking for the same house. I hope that makes sense. So like, again, we'll use Woburn as an example, right? If there were 10 people bidding on 123 Main Street and the 10th bidder was BlackRock and they blew everybody out of the water, they're removing inventory from the market and a buyer is not being removed from the market because they were satisfied by getting a single family house. So you still have the same amount of people that you were bidding against in the first place. Does that make sense? So you're removing a house, and normally you remove a house and you remove a buyer from the market. It's a 1-for-1, right? So like competition gets less and less, but you still have the same level of competition because it went to an investment. That's the problem. So it's like a twofold issue is what I'm trying to say. Now, however, if we were building enough houses and like these certain thresholds and metrics were met where, you know, we could allow for institutional investors where properties are being depreciated, they're sitting on the market, they're dilapidated, going into foreclosure, whatever it may be, and then they come and they renovate these properties, well, that's a different story, right? But the other issue with it is that here's the biggest problem, and I would really have to do a deep dive into what's going on with Trump and him eliminating this. But like, as I sit here and think about this, certain areas have certain issues. So what I mean by that is this: the problems that are happening in Massachusetts, let's say even, let's get down to a granular level. The problems that are happening on the east side of Massachusetts, you know, Boston, greater Boston, surrounding areas, perhaps are not the same issues that are happening on the western part of Massachusetts, okay? And what I mean by that is maybe there is, now again, I'm speculating here. Maybe there's more opportunities to buy. Maybe there's more building going on. Maybe the prices are less. Maybe the taxes are less, okay? How will that affect the houses in Western Massachusetts if Trump decides to ban, you know, these professional investors from buying single-family homes? Well, it will create more opportunities for them that they may not need. Again, this is completely hypothetical. On the east side of Massachusetts, it'll create more opportunities that we do need. Now, scale back a little bit. Think of Massachusetts as a whole, and then think about a place like Texas or a place like Florida. The weird metric here is that even though U-Haul's data is showing people moving to Texas and moving to Florida, the reality is during COVID, there's so much land in Texas and there's so much land in Florida that they overbuilt. That's why those markets are seeing levels of depreciation and or properties that are sitting on the market not getting what they originally intended to get, even with the influx of people that are coming there. So if Trump goes around and makes a change where these institutional investors could no longer buy a single family house, well, how is that going to affect Massachusetts versus Texas? In Texas, that could be very bad, because you could have properties, like, look at it this way: when you have a newer construction property, the investors sitting on that, they normally are not going to unless they have the crew and the capital, they're not going to build another, let's say, single family home or whatever they're building until that one sells. So by having institutional investors buy that property, and even if they rent it out in a market that is property heavy or home heavy, that's okay. But if you eliminate that opportunity from them, right? Now there's going to be even more properties on the market. So that's the hard part when it comes to housing, because housing is local. I would have to really dig into the program, but that is the issue. Like, I've said this for a long time, even before Trump, like when we started having inventory issues, I thought to myself, like, you know, we have inventory issues. Here I am. Here's a really good example, okay? One of my clients was at an open house in Wakefield over the weekend. There was I think a state trooper or a sheriff directing traffic on the street because of how many cars were there to see this freaking house. Okay? Let me show you this house. Let me show you what's going on. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. This was the house. This is it. This is it, for sale. This house had 40 plus people. Listen, I sold during COVID. I've been in the lines on the streets in the middle of winter, whatever it is. I've never seen a cop directing traffic for a freaking open house. This house is $775,000, 3-bed, 2-bath, around 1,700 square foot, right? Like a line down the street. This house had a line down the street. Look at all the views within 6 days. 7,600 views, 570 saves. That is absolutely crazy. Now, is this house underpriced? Did they price it a little bit lower than maybe where it should be? Perhaps, okay? Maybe they did. Maybe they did. But the fact is, you had 1 million people looking at this house. Now imagine one of those 1 million people is an institutional investor. Now you're going to have this house getting taken off the market. Oh, shit, I'm not even sharing my screen. I'm an asshole. Sorry. You're going to have this house getting taken off the market. I clicked the wrong button before. You're going to have this house getting taken off the market, and all of those same single-family home buyers that are still out there looking for a damn house. So again, it could be very good in an area like Massachusetts, but very problematic in an area like Texas. And then then the other issue is this: if you give the state control of this, and maybe that's what he's doing. I'd have to really look into this. If you give the state control, the state doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They can't even build houses. They want to build 200,000 houses within the next 10 years or some shit. They can't even build I think last year, I think we built I think it was less than 10,000 houses. Like, it's just not gonna happen. It's just absolutely not going to happen. And then you have Healy that's out there taking stolen valor from the Baker administration, saying that she either built or permitted 100,000 houses. If you guys think that's true, if you're a liberal or you're on the if you think that's true, you are freaking delusional. All of those houses that were permitted and or started construction were under Baker. That's what happened. And then the stretch codes and all this other shit happened that made building housing even less affordable. So if Trump lets the states decide, could be very problematic. If Trump lets the states decide what they're going to do with housing, I think what needs to happen here is that thresholds need to be put in place by the federal government, by very smart people in the real estate industry. Very, very smart people in the real estate industry. And those thresholds have to be met on a those thresholds have to be met on a state-by-state basis for the state to either determine yes or no that we're going to implement this. And it should be like a switch that they're able to turn on and off because of the thresholds that were set by the federal government. That's what I think should happen. And that would open up a lot of housing. That would open up, if you didn't have institutional investors scooping up these houses, that would open up a lot of housing for people. It's a huge problem, guys. I don't know if any of you are in the market, but it's a huge problem. Massive problem. Mike, look into the housing bubble in Canada. Yes, I know Canada. I have some friends that have been selling in Toronto, and I know that they're struggling there. I know that they're struggling there. Gorgeous house. Yeah, this is a nice house. Absolutely. Absolutely, it is a nice house. What's this say? Michelle Wu is putting Roxbury and Dorchester through gentrification, driving affordability down. You know what the weird thing is? You know what's crazy about, like, they're always talking about the crime and the statistics of crime. Like, the most of the crime that's happening in Boston is the reason people don't care about what happens is because most of the bad actors in Boston are limited to 3 different areas. Okay, that's pretty much what it is. And a lot of the crime is happening in 3 different areas. Except for, like, of course, shoplifting and all that stuff is going up. But and now what they're trying to do is they're trying to implement more of these stretch codes in other towns. So, for instance, I closed on a condo in Newton a couple of months ago. And every single new build has to be all electric. Everything is electric. The whole damn house is electric. They're trying to implement that into more areas. I don't know how is it possible to think if you put all of your eggs in one basket that ultimately it's going to make it more affordable for everybody? I feel like that is the dumbest thing in the entire world versus diversifying where our energy is coming from. How is it going to be more affordable to put everybody on the same exact the same exact playing field? It doesn't make sense. It really does. That would be like an automaker making one car that everybody had to buy. You see what I'm saying? One automaker, one car. You have to buy this car from this automaker. Like, it's crazy. You're waiting to sell come spring? Crazy. But anyway, you guys want to know something funny? Actually, let me pull this up. I wanted to show you this. Holy shit, what's this horror moment? At TD Garden, as fan plunges downstairs in packed arena. That's crazy. Yeah, loose. Oy, oy, oy. I can't find. Oh, here we go. Listen, if anybody works, is everything free at this Lululemon store in Back Bay on Newberry? It's the one on Newberry Street, right? I think. Yeah. Is everything free at this store? Does anybody know? This place, talk about pathetic, okay? This store has been robbed, I think, 4 or 5 times in like less than a year. How long is it going to take before the store manager, the supervisor, or if this is like a franchise, whoever owns the franchise comes forward and says something about what the hell is going on? It is insane the amount of people that have robbed this store. And I'm willing to bet it's the same exact people. Like 110%. Like these people that robbed the store, they're probably the same people. It is crazy. Come to Boston for the handouts. Yes. Yes. It's crazy. The driving law. I covered the driving law, RJ. The driving law is insane. I covered that a while ago. Did you see this too? Let me see if I can find it. The guy, Brian, let me see, HubSpot. I tried to get an interview with this guy. I think his name is Brian. Anyway, he called out Healy. This is the guy, I think. I think this is, yeah, co-founder of HubSpot. He called out Healy the other day. Where is it? I would love to get him on my podcast or go on. Oh, here it is here. It says, I'm starting to work. Now, remember, HubSpot employs a lot of people. I have clients that work for HubSpot, okay? Biotech is way off from a few years ago. Only one of the top 50 AI companies are in Massachusetts. The Fed research funding cuts hitting MIT, Harvard, Hawaii are brutal. The millionaire's tax is working in the short run, but I know a lot of wealthy folks preparing for a Florida move, of course. A glut of empty condos. It's not cool for young folks. It's expensive as shit. I honestly don't think the Massachusetts/Boston government could do that much about it, as they are kind of macro issues. I give them credit for working on building more housing and fixing the T, which will help. I'm trying to help HubSpot, partnering with Huawei, teaching at MIT. I'd like to help more. Specifically, I'd like to encourage and help more AI and climate companies in this state. I think AI and climate should be our dual growth engines. Now, obviously, I don't think climate is I don't think that's a good investment, as we already know, at least not for the people that are the middle class here in Massachusetts that are getting squeezed out. But it's obvious that when you have people, you got to remember, I'm not advocating for some of this guy's ideas, but what I am showing you is that people that are even on that side are not happy with the way things are going, okay? They kind of see the writing on the wall. And when you have somebody with a big voice like this guy that's the co-founder of HubSpot, then you got to think to yourself, geez, maybe the Massachusetts government, maybe they need to look in the mirror. And the problem here is, it's a priorities problem, right? It's a spending problem. And they just think that they could tax us into oblivion in order to fix all of the problems. And that's just not true. MIT plasma engineer, who's that? The other thing too is did you see what's happening in California? So the California tax on I think it's like the billionaires or trillion, I forget. Let me see here. California. Come on. Isn't there a new tax in California? Yeah, here it is. Oh, the wealth tax. So a lot of people are moving out of California because of the wealth tax. Like, how do we as a state, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question here. How is it possible that Massachusetts could look at these other states with other failed policies and think that those policies are going to work inside of Massachusetts? Like what do they think? What do they think is going on here? Really? What do they think is happening? I mean, isn't it obvious to them that there's an issue? I mean, think about it. They think that they're going to change the world, or like, this policy is going to not affect them. It is. It absolutely is. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. Here, we had $2 trillion of billionaire wealth just a few weeks ago. Now 50% of that wealth has left, taking their income, tax revenue, sales tax revenue, real estate tax revenue, and all of their staff with them. That's what's happening. California has long depended. I'm telling you right now, if California loses a lot of these like big mega tech investment companies, like they're in trouble, man. They are in, because everything is hyper expensive there. They are in trouble. Big time. Big time, big time. Why do I think these programs are failing? It's obvious. I mean, people don't want to continue getting taxed into oblivion. 100%. 100%. And then did you guys see this? I'm sure you did, right? Ayanna Pressley's ex-con husband knocks a phone away from a reporter. Crazy. Crazy. What programs am I talking about? I was just talking about the California one with the taxing here. The wealth tax. We have the millionaire tax. So there's a high probability if something's happening in California that's failing, if we try to implement it here, there's a very high probability that the same thing will happen. Maybe not instantaneously. Some of these programs are good in the short term, okay? They're good in the short term because there's not enough data. But in the long term, it could be very problematic. Yeah, gas is fine. I saw gas the other day for like $2 and some cents. $2.60 or $2.80 or something like that. I was shocked. That was up like close to the North Shore, but 1 second. I want to see if I could show you guys this. Where the hell is it? There's going to be, when it comes to, yeah, gas is under $2 in some states, yeah. Where the hell is it? Oh, this is what I wanted to show you. Here we go.
On the street.
Here we go. Let me make sure you could hear this. So I have to find out who this kid is. All right. This is a good one. But this is what's going on. I would make this my full screen, but I have like a weird monitor here. So if I make this full screen, it's going to just screw everything up. This is some kid that has been going around Boston and showing how dirty it actually is. And Boston, he says, Boston is objectively dirty. I say this after cleaning 4,000 pounds of litter, filming hundreds of videos, piss puddles. Oh, God.
Look at this. You think this is appropriate to be on our sidewalks?
Boston is objectively dirty. I say this after cleaning 4,000 pounds of litter, filming hundreds of videos and pictures, and thousands of miles observing city streets.
Frozen turd. Piss puddle.
You cannot argue against this. If you don't like me, that's fine, but it's an entirely different issue to what I'm warning you about with data.
And that's the thing. He said, if you don't like me, that's fine. The reason he said that is because he probably gets so many people that are like me, emailing him with death threats, not to be showing people what is going on. Because what happens here is like a lot of these people have blinders on. They're like a horse with the blinders, basically, right? And they think that nothing bad is possible in Massachusetts. Nothing bad is possible in Boston. So what they end up doing is they end up coming into our chats, into our comment section, and probably this kid's too, and is talking a whole bunch of nonsense.
And evidence. If, after 8 months of cleanups and advocacy, you think I'm mad that the city government doesn't catch litter before it hits the ground, you are being deliberately obtuse. I am arguing 3 things. First, this city is too complacent with filth and dysfunction because its comparative politics have normalized litter into the baseline.
There you go.
Second, the companies that produce this garbage need to pay for the cleanup. The profits are always privatized while the public pays the cost. Third, we need to establish a sense of civic duty and pride. People litter because the city, its officials and residents, tell them it's no big deal.
That's the problem. Like, not only that, but I mean, you think about all the needles and all the stuff that is being found inside of, and I know that this is a previous administration's problem as well. Like, I don't understand why they can't solve this issue. Maybe
My policy
not handing out
strategy to
needles would
address
help.
these issues is up for a vote next month. This cop tells me to take the garbage back where I found it. It's okay to litter. The real problem is reminding the city it's failing its duties. I've taken maybe 200 pounds to City Hall. Imagine how much better a city would be if they kept this energy for companies and litterers. Let's talk about liquor. By weight and discrete pieces, liquor bottles are the single greatest category I see. The mayor's initiative to expand liquor licenses in the city and boost economic activity demonstrates the issue with liberal market policy. Does it look like Boston has a hard time accessing liquor? We have a diseased relationship with alcohol, by design. The American economy works by traumatizing people, then providing addictive substances to ensure steady consumption. Nowhere does the Wu administration make note of how to deal with littered bottles because it's assumed that the public pays that cost. The garbage accumulates and disrupts until someone decides to act.
So this kid makes a whole, I don't know if it's on TikTok, but that's his thing, Alex, he has a whole bunch of videos like this. And I don't know if you guys have noticed this too, but there's been a lot of litter, like even in towns and stuff like that. Have you guys noticed that yourself? I've been noticing it a lot too. It's crazy. Let me catch up on some of your comments. They make the problems, that's right. They make the problems and sell you the solutions, as they say. That's just the way it is. It's just the way it goes. It's unfortunate. Here we go. Breaking. Let's see what this says. Is this real? Get paid daily using your voice and presence for action. We are looking for motivated, reliable individuals to participate in a peaceful demonstration supporting inclusivity and fair housing opportunities. Everyone deserves a safe place to live. Details: pay $150 day rate, lunch provided, duration 5+ days availability for all days preferred. Location to be announced, downtown Boston. Start date this Sunday, January 11th through Saturday, January 17th. Please apply with current photo. Is this real? What are these people saying? Oh, here's the link. That's probably taken down. It's not. Here you go. Get paid using your voice and presence. This is what we're dealing with, guys. Here it is. Again. Protect your investment. Even more money towards this. Crazy. Should I email them? I'll do it later, maybe. I gotta save this. I mean, oh my God. Ridiculous. Afghanistan, Mayor Wu. Pay protesters, listen on Craigslist. And, oh, yeah. You know, you think that, like, Maura Healey and Wu, you think, like, these people would want to cooperate to some point so we don't lose federal funding? Like, we do not know if this is even real. 100%. But that works both ways. Okay? 100%. But it works both ways. That's the issue. What's this? On January 10th, ICE Boston arrested Liber Gomez Herendia, criminal alien. Okay. Crazy. Crazy. What did they say in this anyway? I'm surprised Ed Markey's here. I think he's going to get voted out. What do you guys think of John Deaton? Massachusetts. Yeah, this is what it is. You don't trust anything online? Me either. Yeah, what do you guys think of John Deaton? I eventually want to have him on my my podcast. Give me 1 second. John does a pretty good. He's a good talk. This guy talks. I've been around when he was talking. He's a really good talker.
Donated, volunteered, whether it was a parade, door knocking, calls, holding signs, hosting an event, people who simply showed up and gave me an opportunity to earn their support. I want to thank each and every one of you. I know how hard they worked. I know how bad they wanted this race to go different. And I want them to know that I put everything on the field. I never said no. I want you to know that. Never said no. If they said, John,
Yeah, John's a pretty good guy.
these calls to people that
I mean,
never
anybody but
met,
I mean,
never met,
really anybody but
and asking for
I think he's
money.
gonna be. Oh,
That's what I did. If
what's
they
his
said,
name?
"Be on the Cape,
Markey.
be on
I
the
mean,
Cape at 9 a.m. and in Pittsfield in the afternoon.
yo, somebody just said I'm close to giving up voting. You cannot not vote. That's exactly what these people want. Don't you understand this? Like these people want you to feel like you've been beaten into the dust, beaten into the dirt. That's how they want you to feel. They don't want you to go and vote. They don't want you to go and vote because you feel like your vote doesn't matter. And in some cases, it freaking doesn't. But that doesn't mean that you cannot not go and do it. Short sleeve and Deaton. If he doesn't have the name Elizabeth or Warren or Ed Markey, he's got my vote. Yes, Matt, John, thanks for the 5. Yes, they are thinking about cutting down on our mind. It's crazy. Okay, like this is like 1984 type stuff. Okay, that's basically what it is. That's all it is. You guys got to vote. Okay, even if we don't get somebody in there that you really like, somebody doesn't get in, you still got to do it. Okay. You still got to do it. John's a good guy, though. I think if you see him on my podcast, I think you'll really like him. Yeah, I think you'll really like John. This was him back in 2024. He's a good guy, for sure. If you want to know where the majority of the scams are, guys, in Massachusetts and the majority of the fraud, just look at our budget, right? All you have to do is look at our budget and see what has increased exponentially over the last couple of years. That's all it takes. John Deaton is a rhino, Baker a Romney 2.0. So would you rather, let me ask you a question. Would you rather keep Warren or Markey in, or would you rather Deaton get in? I think that's a legitimate question. Deaton doesn't support support or not. I mean, we're talking about Massachusetts here. I'm asking a simple question. Do you think that, would you rather have Warren or would you rather have Deaton? Or would you rather have Markey at this go around? Like, you think that he's going to be worse? Is what I'm trying to say. Who is the lesser of two evils, right? Yeah, supporting or not supporting. I mean, who cares? We're in Massachusetts here. People are going to do what they're going to do. You guys got to understand something. And this is a huge, by the way, this is a huge problem that I see with a lot of people, whether they be independents or people on the right. Like, just because somebody didn't support somebody, it's like, you don't need to, we're here in Massachusetts. We have to do what's in the best interest of us here in Massachusetts. And if that means getting somebody out, even if they didn't support X, Y, or Z, like, you have to put yourself in the position of, like, what is the lesser of two evils here, right? Like, and in the same sense, like, you might have some Republicans that really didn't or weren't that thrilled with Donald Trump. You still need to get along with these people. The same as you still need to somewhat, believe it or not, there are some Democrats out there that have, like, they're not that bad, right? Like, they're not absolute left liberal, like craziness, okay? Like, what you need to do is, like, there needs to be some levels of respect between people that could earn the respect, right? But it all starts with us too. Like, we can't automatically be disrespectful for somebody because of something, like one thing they said or one thing they did. Like, everybody is going to do something and make mistakes. Me, you, everybody. That's just going to happen. That's life, right? Like, not every single decision that, even if we get a Republican in there, not every single decision as a Republican governor that they're going to make is going to be 100% accurate or 100% what you want. But what I see a lot of people, and this is a huge problem, I may have talked about this before, and maybe I didn't. I see a lot of people here in Massachusetts that what they will do is they will focus on one issue that they're supporting of that the candidate isn't. And then they will totally write this person off, okay? And there'll be no other choices, right? You have to look beyond that. All right? You can't just condemn somebody because of one thing. Now, could we condemn Wu or could we condemn Healy for things? Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they do that a lot of us don't agree with, right? It's not just one thing, okay? And sometimes, even if it's one or two on the Republican side, right? Like, you can't just write people off and start bad. I mean, you could do whatever you want. It's your life. I'm just telling you how I operate, right? Like, you got to put yourself in a position where you got to do what's for the greater good of the state. And if for what, and I'm not saying it's John Deaton or not John Deaton or Warren or it doesn't really matter. But what I am saying is, because somebody didn't vote for somebody or this happened or this didn't happen, it didn't go exactly the way you wanted. What are you going to do? Sit home and cry about it? Is that really? Think about it. You're going to sit home and cry about it and then keep the same damn people in office while you're sulking in your home how nothing changes. Well, guess what? Nothing's going to frickin' change if you condemn every single candidate that comes and steps forward. It's as simple as that. So you can't have it both ways. And that's the problem. A lot of people here in Massachusetts think they could have their cake and eat it too. It doesn't work that way, guys. I'm sorry to tell you that. And even beyond that, if we do get a governor in that's a Republican governor, again, they're not going to make all of the right decisions. You're not going to agree with everything that they do. But I can tell you this much, if you don't vote for any three of the Republican candidates, you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. That's what you're doing. That is effectively what you're doing, because you're going to keep the same damn people in here that aren't making any changes at all. Realistically, you know what I think? I think there needs to be a radical change here, okay? I think there needs to be a radical change here. However, I don't think the people in Massachusetts, the majority of the people, because you need to capture the independent vote, I don't think they're ready for a radical change quite yet, okay? Once the electricity and the utility bills, maybe once they get to $2,000 a month, maybe they'll be ready for a radical change. But that's the reality of it. You can't go and be, just continuously hating on people because of one separate issue. If they didn't vote for this or they did this or, this person worked for the Baker administration and caused this. Like, you have a lot of half-truths there. But you need to vote. You cannot not vote. That is the moral of the story. But we really need somebody to completely turn Massachusetts upside down. That's what needs to happen. We need somebody that says, screw the rules, screw the laws, screw Massachusetts Constitution. We're going to put Massachusetts on the right track and not just say things, but show you actionable things that are going to happen in a timeline in order to make it better, okay? In some way, manner, or form. You can't just say, I'm going to do X. We need to know what the end result Y is going to be. That's what needs to happen so people have hope, right? If it's housing, I'm going to do this, 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 and this to generate more housing. A lot of people will just go out there and say, I'm going to generate more housing. Well, how the hell are you going to generate more housing, right? How the hell are you going to do that? I think a lot of people get stuck. Like when it comes to rules and laws, like some rules are good. Don't get me wrong. Some rules are not good. The same, like that's basically the way that it goes. And a lot of these things need to be amended or they need to be changed. Perfect example of this is the audit, right? Look at the audit. How is it possible that we could be trending in the direction we're trending? Record-breaking budgets, okay? Record-breaking budgets, spending money on all this crazy stuff, yet we can't let our own auditor audit the legislature, audit what the hell is going on? Think about it. So what? We're going to, reintroduce a tax on candy, a tax on pharmaceuticals, a tax on the way you drive, a tax on the air that you breathe. You see what I'm saying? This could be like the Lorax. Healy's going to be up in a tower selling bottled air soon. It's crazy. But you're not going to vote for somebody and you're going to take the $5 bottle of canned air that Healy's selling you? Like, really? You guys got to wake up is basically what it boils down to. That's the biggest problem in Massachusetts are the people in Massachusetts. That is the problem. Not you guys per se, but a lot of the people here. They feel like there can't be change. Their vote's not going to do anything. And then when somebody comes in that provides some levels of opportunity for everybody else, they just go and they shit on them as much as humanly possible. Or they'll criticize them about the way they look, or they'll criticize them about what they wear. Like, get over it, guys. Guess what? You're going to keep on living in the same exact reality unless you decide to get off your ass and do something. Period. End of story. That's the way that it goes. And that's it. Nobody is perfect. Seth Moulton is the worst. 100%. I don't care, like, Mike Keneally would still be better. Mike, you need to make a list of Republicans running so I can bring it to the voting booth. I could do that. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. We just don't need socialists or communists here, and that's basically what we're doing. Look at it this way. Tax on candy, tax on pharmaceuticals, tax on how much you drive. Don't want to drive here because it's going to, we're going to poison the environment. Like, all of these things, it's wild when you think about it, really. The rent control, right? Talking about Prop 2.5. All of these issues are mega issues, okay? These are mega issues that need solving. And we need somebody in there. And believe me when I tell you, I don't think a Republican governor is going to be enough. This is what needs to happen. There's so much pressure from the legislature here in Massachusetts because it is primarily Democrats, right? There's so much pressure that even if you have a Republican governor in there, it still makes it so hard to get anything done. That's the issue. The issue with Massachusetts is that this could happen on both sides of the aisle, by the way, okay? If you have one party rule for so long, what ends up happening is that party ends up corrupting itself, and then that in turn makes the state that they are representing corrupt too. This could happen for the Democratic side. It could also happen on the Republican side as well. We're in Massachusetts. It's mainly Democratic. We need more of a balance here. That's what needs to happen, okay? If it doesn't happen, we're in trouble. %100. Yes, limit the amount of miles you could drive an automobile. 100%. Let me catch up on chat. You've known John for over 6 years. Great guy. Yeah, I met him. He seems like, I've been, because of like what how can I explain this? working in construction, working in real estate, obviously I meet a lot of people. And, there's this weird, I don't know if like people that are working in an office all day and they're really not talking to people, if they're stuck coding on a computer or whatever it may be, or they're in a lab and they don't really, communicate with a lot of people. But here's the thing, like sometimes it's very easy when your social skills and talking to people and going back and forth and having conversations, like you could sometimes like when somebody's up on a podium talking, that's a different story. But when you get them in person and you start talking to them, and what they say off camera, like, don't get me wrong, there's some really good people that could fool a lot of people, okay? And I'm not saying I'm the type of person that can't be fooled, but what I am saying is that I have quite a bit of experience when I'm like sitting, talking to people, getting to know people. That's really what I like doing, right? I've always liked doing that, by the way. And John just seems like a genuine guy to me. I want to learn more about him. That's why I want to have him on the podcast. But as I said earlier, it's just getting time to go to the studio and set everything up. It becomes problematic, right? It's a lot of time. Yep, 100%. All right, let me catch up. And by the way, the Venezuela survivors did you guys see like a lot of the videos with the people in Venezuela? Like that, I don't like to cover that stuff. I really don't like to cover like more national news because I don't think you guys are interested, but I will say this much, right? Like, first of all, I think that the operation that they had to capture Maduro, I mean, I'll be honest with you, okay? I think that he just surrendered. Like, I don't understand how it's humanly possible that the wind conditions, the weather, the day, the time, all of these things aligned in order to get him with absolutely no, like, it's just amazing, right? I'm not discrediting what they did, by the way. I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist. I'm just saying it was insane, okay? But like from what I saw, and I don't really pay that much attention to national news, like not a ton of it at least, but it seems like the people from Venezuela, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems like the people from Venezuela are thrilled about this. They've been basically disenfranchised for what, the last 24 or 27 years or something like that. And now they, have an opportunity where the United States, who are effectively acting like the world police at this point, which, I may or may not be 100% in agreement with, but the fact is they got him out of there unharmed. Everything is good. Everybody in Venezuela is happy. And then you have all these lunatic liberal people in Boston that are protesting about this. And but you have the people in Venezuela that are crying on the streets happy. Am I wrong? Is that's pretty much what happened, right? Like from the videos that I saw, unless it was propaganda, that's the way it looked to me. I mean, that's the way it looked to me. That's correct. I lived in Venezuela and everyone is happy about it. That's what I thought. Many people would like to move back there. Yeah, I mean, like, so what are you going to do? So, like, look at it this way. It's funny because on one hand, you have all of these people that are saying, due process and this and this and this. Then you have all these people coming over to the country with absolutely no due process. And then finally, we provided another country with an opportunity to potentially rebuild, right? Now, the United States could blow this, okay? They could really screw this up. But I think that at least somebody is taking the initiative to do something, right? That's my biggest complaint. Like, look at it this way, guys, okay? And you could say the same thing here for Massachusetts. My biggest complaint is that these people aren't doing more. These people should do more of this. Like, period, end of story. Like, after that woman in Minneapolis was killed by the ICE officer, they need to send more ICE officers there. That's what needs to happen, or else all hell is really going to break loose. Like, we need to be doing more of this stuff and straightening everything out, because here's the problem. And I think that a lot of people are not, maybe they know, but maybe they don't know. So I feel like we've been trending in a awful direction for a very, very long time. People come in, president, governor, mayor, all this stuff, and they try fixing things. They start going up a little bit, they hit a roadblock, and then it goes down, right? Like, it's like the stock market. As long as you're continuing going up, that's good. But the problem is the United States has been, in my opinion, based on how much we spend, the amount of fraud, I feel like we are continuously going down. So I think a lot of people were a lot of people are shocked at a lot of the stuff that has happened over the last year. But in my opinion, we need even more of it, right? We need even more of that, because with Biden, I feel like that guy, I don't think anything got done really in 4 years. Like, you never even saw the guy. So I feel like we're in a position where there needs to be more radical or somewhat radical things done, like capturing Maduro, in order to help that country rebuild and help its people. That's really what I think. But again, we have all these lunatics here. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find it. All I know is that if the people of Venezuela are in support of it... Oh, here we go. I found it. I found it. I mean, is there anybody from Venezuela in this crowd? I mean, really? Again, I don't know everything about the situation. I don't know everything about the situation. All I'm saying is the videos from people from Venezuela that I saw seem to be quite happy. That's the only solution. Venezuela people wait 27 years. That's how long it was, right? 27 years? Let me see here. Venezuela. Yeah, Venezuela used to be one of the most wealthiest countries in all of South America until they elected socialists. Then it quickly became the poorest. It's sad, man. Mike, have you had a chance to look at the raw sewage being dumped into the beach at Swampscott? I'm going to actually save that. Let me write that down. Hold on. By the way, guys, if you ever call me and I say I'm going to do something and then I don't do it, I apologize. I'm in a position where it's getting increasingly hard with the number of people that have been calling and email. It's really hard for me. That's all. So just, it's not on purpose. Okay. So if I don't get back to you or whatever, it's really not on purpose. Definitely not on purpose, but we got these lunatics out here in Boston. It's just nuts. I cannot believe, I'll say this much with Wu. I cannot believe we are in a position that Wu did not have a worthy challenger. Is it not unbelievable? Like, is it really not unbelievable? How is it possible that is it that bad in Boston that nobody wants to step up to the plate? Like, it's crazy to me. That raw sewage has been happening forever. I'm gonna have to look into that. I don't know what. Let me see what's going on here. So, hold on. Swampscott warns public to avoid Kings Beach. Is this it? Monday, September 8th, to suggest people avoid. So where is the sewage coming from? According to the town alert, Kings... Save the harbor, save the beach. The Lynn Water and Sewer Commission separated the sewer and stormwater systems about 25 years ago, but there is potential issues that not all pipes are fully separated. Okay, So there's stormwater, which is the rainwater. So at one time those were combined. Is that what they're saying? The Lynn Water and Sewer Commission separated the sewer and stormwater systems about 25 years ago, but there is a potential issue that not all pipes are fully separated and additional leaks continue. Swampscott lined about half of its pipes 2 years ago and has begun to treat the remaining areas, but the contamination has not gone away. Untreated water and land-based bacteria from fertilizers still are the two major contributors to the pollution. Noise level. Untreated water from the Stacy's Brook culverts in Lynn. Cleaning the dirtiest beach in Massachusetts. So that's still going on? James Burlow said, imagine this in the 70s, 1 in 21 were immigrants. Now it's 1 in 6. Yes. That is likely over a third of Democrats support, and Rubio say it is at least 38 million. That's 45. Yes. It's crazy. It's crazy. And the national news takes Wu's unopposed. Yeah. Unopposed run. Wow, this is really crazy about what's happening in Swampscott. I did not know this. This has been going on for a long time. $400,000 UV light. So what, they're going to just plug a light into the beach and shock, and I know what they want to do. They put some of those systems in houses. You know what I forgot to mention, guys? Because I've been jumping around because I don't live stream that much. That prison, that women's prison in Framingham, that was going to cost $50 million, and now it ballooned to 380. There's a huge problem at DCAM, which is the Department of Asset Management in Massachusetts, and a lot of it has to. Well, there's a lot of issues there. We'll probably cover that in the future. What do you think about DeZoglio turning off Facebook messages? She is probably getting too many messages about the audit. Yeah, you know what? I'll explain that. That's actually a good one. So you know what I was talking about before with, like, you know, going out to vote and not hating. There's like a group of people that think that DeZoglio is somehow a paid operative or something like that in regards to the in regards to the audit, and that she's purposely like not doing it or something, which isn't the case at all. But no, what's happening is maybe she did that because she was getting so many messages about the audit that it just became overwhelming. That's the only thing that I could come up with. But I could tell you that they are trying to work on this. So you guys know about the public records ballot question. So that's hopefully we'll get that to go. Now, whether or not that's going to result in any efforts to allow her to do the audit, we will see. But we 100% need the audit, like 100,000% need the audit. And you know what the sad part is about the audit is, like, they've had so much time between when it should have been done to today that I feel like they're just out back, basically. I feel like they're out back basically just burning documents. Did my stream crash? Did something happen? Or are we still live? No, we're okay. Taking jobs. Hold on one second. I want to make sure that this is still up. Yeah, I think we're good. Oh, well, they certainly don't want it done. I mean, it's obvious that they don't want it done. They're doing everything in their power to not allow it to happen. So, of course. Of course. It's crazy. Has she said anything recently? No. Nada. I mean, she's in a bad spot. I'll tell you, man. You know, like she gets hate from her own party. She's just, it's got to suck. Yeah, people should be on the streets protesting the audit. Yes. See, the problem is it hasn't gotten bad enough for people that they would do that. That's realistically what's going on. You know, if your utility bills are $2,000 a month, then people will sure as hell do it. Yeah. If John Deaton really challenged Ed Markey, they will find a way to destroy his game. Yeah, I mean, oh, Ayanna Presley. Oh God, there actually something happened with her recently, didn't it? Didn't something happen with her recently? Oh, is this it?
Cannot be reformed. This has nothing. ICE cannot be reformed. This has nothing to do with training or new protocols. This is about cultural practices that have been.
All right, I can't listen to her. I'm sorry. Didn't she have? Let's see here. I feel like there was something recent. No. Let me see. I thought there was something very recent that happened where she like freaked out. No, I don't know where it is. I maybe it was imagining something. Anyway, she's a nut. She's a lunatic. I don't like her one bit. Yeah, Soros is funding the protests, of course. What's the point of a ballot question when they don't actually do anything? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I saw the assault on the reporter. Yeah, I can't listen to her either. But there was something something happened. I can't remember what the hell it was. Yeah, her husband, I don't know if he pushed a journalist, but I know he knocked camera away or something like that, right? Yep, 100%. Mitt Romney. All right, guys, I have some work that I got to get done. I just wanted to come on for a little bit today. I'll be filming more, during the week. And that's it. We got a whole bunch of stuff we're working on. We're still doing the stuff with the daycares. We're still working on, there's actually quite a bit of people working on the daycare stuff as well here. So it's just putting the pieces of the puzzle together. But there is a lot of other things happening. So we're going to have a story coming out in regards to DCAM, which again is the Department of Capital Asset Management in Massachusetts. Something's going on with the schools here. Of course, we're going to cover that too, amongst other things. But yeah, that's basically it. I have a couple appointments that I have to go to, and I might go to that event tonight. Did I save this for you guys? So let me put this back up on the screen. I might go to this event tonight. This is Meet the Candidates, and John Deaton will be there, Keneally, Minogue, Short Sleeve, and a whole bunch of other people. All right, I'm not going to read off on all your names, no offense, but it's in, that's today, right? January 12th, yeah. Black Hat Brew Works, Bridgewater. So I might drive down there and, do what I got to do. So maybe I'll see you guys there. I don't know if any of you are around Bridgewater, but I'm going to try to make it tonight as long as I can, Yeah. That's it. All right, guys. I'm taking off. See you.